some setting that breaks that field into a different kind of field. Then we go back and do it. But they updated their Salesforce decided to update its configuration of the developer account, and that's a little note for me to go back and update the PowerPoint later on. But you get the idea behind it so far. Updating inline editing in Salesforce can be done through the list view. That's really the point we're trying to make. Because I believe in the opportunities. I know we can in the opportunities. If I go back to if I did the same thing with my open opportunities, I made everything. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my two prospectings and say, because they're further out, I'm going to make their dates. That's a long sale, February 2nd. I'm going to apply those. Qualification is, let's say that's January. Needs analysis. I'm just going through some, what might the timelines be in these real deals. Value proposition. January 2nd. This one is January 6th. And these are all just made up, right? So this is the exercise to change some of the dates. So these guys are probably, let's see, update these two. These are going to be by Friday. So, and then proposal, I'm going to call these 12/26 because it's not going to change much in our data set. But so that'll make the opportunity reports look a little better. Either way. So that's what the inline editing piece is all about. But we just couldn't do the address because I didn't get a chance to test this since I found out about this class last night. So I said, sure. And then I had other things I had to wrap my day up with. I said, it's a reports class. What could go wrong, right? So here's a report chart scenario. Oh, we didn't do the filter logic yet. So what I'm going to, we'll get a chance to do it. Let's see. I want to do filter. You said filter logic was a challenge, or it had been a challenge. So I want to see if, let's see if we can do it with this as a filter logic. We still can. We just haven't updated all our records to make it look good. So I'm going to go back into the filters. And, the math isn't always that complex, but our filter logic, so I want to add, what do we want to see? Shipping. Okay, so we got two addresses, right? We got shipping state, and there's shipping state text, which I'm going to use text just to make it a little different. And that I'm going to say equals CA or California. You don't need a state. So I've got those two. And then if I do billing state, and I do the same thing, equals CA. What's going to happen is I believe we're going to end up with 0 results because there's no account record that has both shipping and billing with California in it. So I'm going to add filter logic, Because I have 2, I'm just going to add an or. So, and again, you just have to, so that'll give way to either one. We didn't make any changes, so it didn't happen. That'll make way for either one to show up because I did 1 or 2. Now, these are data filters, and each filter you add has there it is. That's what I wanted. Each filter you add gets every data filter you add has a number. So you got to take that into account when you're creating your filter logic formula, if you will, or filter logic parentheses and how you say this and that. And when you do it over time, if you add the filters in the wrong way, you're going to end up with it's going to be harder to like pick the numbers. So you end up picking them you'll end up figuring out what you want it to be. And you'll pick it out. You'll figure out how to pick the filters in the order you need them to make your formula a little easier. That makes sense? So that's all. But that's the filter logic. And when you save and run it, I got the same results, but all filters are and filters, unless you put the ors and the parentheses in there. So this is what we do. We just created an or filter to make it happen. Does that help? And there's, again, it's algebraically, when you get more complex, you got to pay closer attention. And is there anything that you ran into that you need help with, or is it you feel pretty solid that it's just you can figure it out on your own or over time?
I can't think of any
Off the top of your head?
examples off the top of my head, but it makes sense what you're saying. That
Yeah.
you kind of just have to ask yourself, like, what are you wanting, type thing.
100%. And that's all part of the pre-filter deployment. Like before you get into, is that not gonna? Just close this out. Then I was trying to get my little. I'm on my PC and I don't have a little mouse pointer automatically. But here's the thing you gotta remember. Filter logic only works on data filters, not scope filters. Scope filters are just chunking the data so that the right data is included in the results, and then you can calculate on a smaller set of records so the report runs faster. Ultimately why we're doing that. Because that's the hitch, if you will. Once you get the basics down, then that's one of the things you start thinking about is like, how do I make things faster for users? Because if you do something that's bulky, you may or may not receive complaints about it at some point, but at some point you might. And that's where scope and some of these things really play a part more than anything, is that they're built when you take into consideration the size of the data you're moving in and out of Salesforce. So that affects speed, performance. There's already enough things dragging down a computer already, right? So, or dragging down the results. So it's just one of those things that you'll eventually know why you're doing it, besides the nature of just trying to get the right result. I mean, ultimately, you need the right results in the report anyway, right? So all that other stuff doesn't matter. What matters is getting the right results in the report and then calculating, subtotaling, displaying them in all the different ways that you can after that. But again, this is all the basics. So now we're going to do a chart to see if we're doing this. And so I think we already did it, but what we're going to do here is go now into the chart properties a little bit. So we're going to go to the open opportunities by month report. And if you don't have it, then just create it. It'll be useful if we have these in our, why do we not have, I edited a lot of oh no, that's all my shortcuts. That's what it is. I thought I edited, I took out, I didn't want to see all my extensions. So we want to I didn't need to do this. But let's just add the chart here then. We're going to add a chart. Let me just save and run this. So what we're looking for, open opportunities. So on this chart, it's a bar chart. We only have one owner. It's not that sexy. But the reference line is sometimes if you have a baseline of the chart, it tells you. This is what we're doing. We're measuring the baseline. Do we need to sort the report chart? No. So as the data, because again, remember the data's live. So every month that they're looking at this data, because we're looking for, this is just all opportunities that we're working on right now. So it doesn't, we're not limiting this to the month, are we? Is this the one, open opportunities by month? I did not.
I mean, it's each month. So yeah, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, what's wrong? Let me check my report. I'm just looking at my report going, that's weird. Let me just check something. Remember, I goofed around my reports a little bit. Oh, right. Okay. Duh. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not looking at detail rows. I just forgot to look below the chart. It just took up a lot of room. The chart just threw me for a loop. Like it crushed the headline. They've resized a couple things. I'm just not used to it. So here I got it by month, and there's my reference line for what I've got, but it's not. Let me try and change my chart a little bit. Let me see something here. I'm going to do a column. It's not doing it. Oh, I got the x-axis. That's why, because I had the x-axis by owner instead of amount. I'm like, why is it not? Okay, there we go. So now my reference line, now it makes a lot more sense. So whether I'm in the whatever bar I'm in, and you can change this to a different color, which I think is better. Woo, wrong one, wrong way. My reference line, I need to make red. So now I could see each month. So December, January, we're good. February, but we're far enough from February, maybe, depending on the sales cycle. This is what we're looking at. Like, where are we looking? So that gives me a reference line. So it's a really quick way to communicate the things that are important in your organization. So you can add that little piece to it. Now, this is a fun one, bucket fields.
Yeah.
I didn't fix my formatting here. Have you used bucket fields yet?
Mm-hmm.
What do you like most about bucket fields?
Well, I haven't really done too much with like the numeric, but where I've used it is creating opportunities, for example, or opportunity reports. We have record types of new business versus existing business, but it's not necessarily a one-to-one with the team. Sometimes it's our new biz dev, which would be theoretically you would think new business, but there's times where they're working with an existing partner, but it's like a net new product or like arm of the contract type of thing. So they are classifying it as new business, both the existing partner. It was a while ago and it was like a one-time thing, but that's how I would break out into teams. So I would say, okay, your business development, if you're this role, I don't like to rely on that anymore with reports because people change roles all the time, but I have done it before.
How do you mean you don't like, because it's actually, well, okay. So the role, when you say people change roles, like you're changing roles, you're going to get, as we say in the South, you're fixing to change your role, right? So if you're this is an interesting way to think about it. So um, if you're why is this goofy? Um, okay, there we go. I just wanted to make sure it showed up on the screen better. Um, the whole purpose of bucket fields is to group the records in a way that isn't automatically grouped by the data. So California, if I group by state, that's easy, right? But what if I've got three regions, but I don't have any and the regions change all the time, right? But so I want to take something that lives as text, a number, or a pick list value, and just chunk them together in a group that contains those variables. The only way to do that is with bucket fields. That's the purpose of a bucket field. It's so you can take records and group them so you don't have to create another data field to do the grouping for you. So so this lives where things I don't know how to describe it. That's really that's the benefit of it. So we're going to bucket the name because in this example, we have a couple of United Oil and Gas accounts, and so we want to just clump them all together, but there's no way to clump them all together because they're each separate records. And the reason they're separate records is because our philosophy is every company that has multiple locations will store each location as its own account record. And but we want to bucket these United all into one, which is what's happening. So we go to our all accounts, the one we're doing. Yeah. Now this is just a simple example of how to do it. I'm just taking my instructions on the other screen, making them so I can see them. So now when I edit this report, so any text, numeric, or pick list field, you could create a bucket column out of it. So I'm going to take the account name and I'm going to click the little action menu item next to it, and I'm going to bucket this column. And I'm going to call it company name, which is different than account, right? So the company, just making sure that it's clear. And then I'm going to take all my United Oil and Gas, and I'm going to put them into a new bucket called United. I'm just going to leave it as United Oil and Gas. So when I apply that, all the different accounts like Home Depot or are all now going to be grouped in that bucket column. And then I'm going to go to my company field that I just created, and I'm going to group all the rows by that field. See it. So now all these separate entries become one company so it'll help make more sense. I'm going to take my subtotals out because that's creates a horrible look. But now all my United Oil and Gas now has all of these built into it. So my summaries will reflect that if I have them, because I'm grouping now by the whatever group I have. We're going to do a couple more of these, but let's make sure this works. And then this was another one of those dadgum save as. I can't toggle off row counts because they did that to me. I'm going to call this all accounts. See if that works. And then, of course, I saved my original as before I realized it. So it's got buckets. I want to get rid of the buckets. I think I saved it with the buckets. Yeah, I did. So I'm going to take and I'm going to remove the group. And I'm going to save it. So I'm going to go back. It caught me. See, I always save as I go. So the saving as at the end bugs me. But the guy that owns the PowerPoint inside the training company, he never built it that way. And he's not unbuilding it. And so I just forgot to flag it again. So now I'm going to go back to that other report. So are you done with that? Let me know if like, I think you're pretty quick on this stuff, but I haven't paid attention to that. So, but if any moment, normally with a bigger class, I like tell people just to watch and then I give them time to do it. But I think you're doing it along the way because you already know, like you already, so you're faster. That makes it faster. So this one, we're gonna add another. What we're gonna do with this report, we're gonna save it as first. It's always fun. Let me just save it as first. This is gonna be. We're gonna do this with pick list values. So again, just to get the practice of doing it. I'm going to add the industry. I already have the industry, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create another bucket. I'm going to bucket this column. And now I'm going to create some categories, right? So it's kind of really what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Do they call it categories? What do they call it? Sector. They call it sector. So I'm going to create some sectors, right? I'm going to create some more general categories like technology. And it doesn't matter what you put in. We got a technology bucket. We got a consumer bucket. We got a hospitality. We have a industrial, education, and we're going to add one more bucket, medical. And we're going to add, so those are all our buckets. So now we got to go to our unbucketed values and just assign them where they belong. So it doesn't, for this exercise, it doesn't really matter where you put them. It matters that you know you're clumping them together, right? So I want to say, let's see, agriculture. What's that one? Medical. Biotechnology, chemicals, energy, engineering, environmental, machinery, manufacturing. I'm just guessing some of these. Transportation, utilities. I'm going to move all those into industrial. Then I'm going to take I'll go back to my unbucketed values. I'm going to take recreation, retail, food and beverage. Nope, take food and beverage out. I still can't not, put those in consumer. Back to my unbucketed values. I want construction. That should go to it. You can do them one at a time. You can do them bulk. Doesn't really matter. We're just taking, that's probably consumer. Do we have a finance category? Nope, we don't. Banking, education. I'm just going to move these into different places because so everybody's got some. That's all. Okay. So that all it's doing is it's literally just doing that. It's just taking those and putting them in a bucket. So really, you can group by the bucket, but it'll have each one. I'm going to take this, remove that dumb column. So I've got this sector column, right, that I can do anything I want with, but I'm going to take that sector. Now I want to group rows by that field and probably put sector first and then whoops. I can just move sector first and then the company. That'll make a cleaner look. But again, this is what you do with reports. You kind of play with them until they look good for the consumer of the report. Take out the detail rows if I want. So this makes for a nice, and then I could sort by record count. I could sort by, you could change your sorting by record count if you wanted to. So really all that matters in this case is how you're sorting the very first column. But and then I could have made these, the Salesforce and sample account for entitlements could have been, I could change that up everywhere I want. That's buckets. Does that help you understand buckets a little better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions about it?
I don't think so.
All right, cool. Oh, we get to put a chart on it. We're going to do a donut. All accounts, pick list, bucket. Okay, so this is, I'm going to put a chart. No pies, only donuts. And you could show the values, you could show percentages, you could add all or take those away. I'm sorting by record counts, choose by sector. Nope, I'm going to do by sector. And then I'm going to edit this and change the name to pick list bucket. So I could change the name up here and edit the report name. But what happens when I do that goes back to when I look at the properties, it's not a problem to do this, but it's just a problem for me. Is that unique name doesn't get changed when you change the name automatically. Then automatically update that unique name. And again, it's rare that it matters, but when it does, you will be summarily pissed off by it. And it most likely won't be you that it really matters most. When somebody else does it, and then you're trying to do something, or it'll just ruin the thing you don't have time to fix, or that runs. This is the way it kind of works out in my world. But you can't control other people, and I think they said killing them is wrong, but the Marine Corps taught me something different. But I think you can't beat them or hit them or yell at them. I guess depends on what it is. So, all right. Now this one is an example of bucket fields of using a breakpoint in a number field. So this is going to be a numeric one, and we want to segment our customers by their annual revenue. But when we did I change this? Did I change this? Let me look at my properties. All accounts picked. Oh, so it must have just been a hitch in the giddy up. That is to say, something just caught my eye different. There it is. Okay. So we're going to go back to our all accounts account, and we're going to create a new bucket for the annual revenue. And do we have annual revenue as a field? No, we don't. So again, first thing I'd like to do, always, is add the field you're doing anything with and take a look at the data so that you don't throw your mind off. Let me save this one as, because that's, and just to take a look at it. So I like to, again, this is a habit I have of looking at the data first before I start messing with it, because, some of my customers don't have, wait, let me save and run. When I start doing these breakpoints, what I end up finding is that I want to, so you can see the breakpoints, but I want to group. I think the number in here is 10 million in revenue, 10 to 20. That's 100 million in revenue. See, what'll happen is if we do 100 million in revenue, is that right? 100 million? Yeah, it would be fine. Okay, 100. And then 250 is going to get us a little slope. So I'm going to go to 500 million, and then 500 million. So we'll break it out slightly different. Instead of 250 million, I'm going to do 500 million, because that way it'll get a bigger. Then we're going to name each breakpoint so that it, kind of communicates how we refer to them typically in the culture. So I'm going to go to annual revenue and create a bucket out of it. And again, it's just a numeric bucket, so it's just the interface is slightly different. And I'm going to call this Goldilocks. First number is going to be 100. And the bucket name is going to be Baby Bear. I'm going to add a breakpoint. I'm going to call this one 500 million. Mama Bear. Papa Bear. And then I can group by the bucket. So just, again, it creates a field without having to create a field.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of what you're really doing is you're creating a field, a formula field, in essence. You're calculating if it's between this and this, give it this label, but instead of doing that granular level, you just do it where you need it, which is on the report.
Which is what I was doing initially. Is I didn't have a field for team, so I was creating it myself.
A custom field?
Right.
Or a bucket?
So essentially, when I was trying to define like opportunity by owner or by team, like to break it out,
Sure.
I created buckets for, are you this team, that team, or that team?
So, yeah. So, would it be because would the same, you couldn't group by sales manager? You didn't have the data set up that way, right? So, yeah, because that might not always be the case. Or somebody, well, there's another way to do it if the teams are, it depends on how your data is set up, right? How do you identify those 7 people on a team versus those 7 people, right? Like, how do you identify that in Salesforce by what team they're on? Is it a specific piece of data or is it something else? Like, all that is, I get it. So, but you could have done it by buckets, especially if the teams change or if there's a lot of something manual you can work with. So now I got, if I take the details out, I can see what my annual revenue is of all those baby bears, mama bears, papa bears kind of things, right? And I could, again, I'm going to show you, you could sort by what Goldilocks it is, sum of the annual revenue, record count, whatever the important sort is, you could choose any one of those. So if I want to sort it by revenue and then change the sort, or I could sort it by record count, depending on what you want, like whatever order you want to see them in, right? That's going to affect the chart. That's going to affect all those little things. But those are things you got to take into account when you're building the report. What do they want to see? Why do they want to see it? And most importantly, how are they going to use it? How are they going to use it to make a decision? So again, I've got my copy of all accounts. So the other way that I've been known to do this, just because I feel like you're catching on the way I'm doing it so far, is I may take this one that I created, that I made copy as, and then sometimes if I'm working on a copy, I would change the folder so nobody can see me working on it. So I might put it in my own private folder, right? So in that regard, I've got my copy all snuck away for myself. I can work on it. Nobody can comment, right? No, none of that noise that I don't like, because I'm kind of a diva if you haven't noticed in some ways. So then I'm ready. I'll just save it as, and I'll call this one, now I'll call it Goldilocks promotion. And then put that in the GenWatt account. GenWatt reports folder. Put it in the folder when it's ready, right? So now I got this garbage in my own personal private folder, which, because it's in my private reports, I could pop over here anytime I want. If I'm looking at them, I go, oh, yeah, copy of all accounts. I might or might not help myself with this. So it just kind of depends on my little method, but I figured I'd show you just the other way that sometimes it happens. When I do a copy, I'll throw it in my private folder or an admin folder that we're just working on, or as a team folder that we're all working on this thing together. And then when it's ready for prime time, I'll save it as and send it out, because that might be my working copy for the new folder, whatever, something like that. Anyway. You good?
Yep.
All right. Now I got to tell you, this is redundant. Custom summary and custom formula fields in Salesforce is a redundant way to say all summary fields in a report and all formula fields in Salesforce are custom. So to say that they're custom, to label it is just reinforcing the fact that they're already custom. But just so you know, there are no standard formula fields. So standard means hardwired, built into Salesforce. Custom means you built it yourself. But this allows you to calculate on the report of the records, instead of creating a combination of maybe formula fields on the records themselves. So it's only there's summary formulas, or summary, really there's summary formulas. Hey Ziggy, turn on the heater. There's summary formulas, so they only work on formulas, on reports that summarize, which are summary and matrix. You can calculate summary fields in a report on numbers, which could be a currency or percentage, and count checkbox fields. So that's a way sometimes to get counting done in Salesforce. So I don't know if I can't remember if they fixed it or not, because I don't do this every day, but there was a time that if you wanted to count the number of records in a summary, right? You wanted to create a count, right? You couldn't do it in Salesforce. you had to literally create a field whose default value was 1, and then calculate that field at all your summary levels so you can get the record count. Now I think they can do something different, but that's where you probably use a checkbox field for that, or something else. But you can, that's what sometimes is a challenge, is counting the records, because sometimes it gives you a record count, as we looked at, right? So some of these reports have, this is what they added in. That's right. The record, I've been around Salesforce too long, so I remember all these things that used to be. The row counts sometimes solve that, but sometimes you still need the power of 1 in there. So there's a whole set of videos and articles and stuff you'll see called the power of 1. And so you add a field whose formula, sometimes it's a formula field that results in 1. 0 plus 1 equals 1, and then that's the result. Whatever. So it's just a field so you can use it for counting purposes sometimes. Sometimes that little power of 1 is still a legacy thing that some of us have used, have been around when you need it. It's a little FYI that exists somewhere. You can reference formula fields in the report, because formula fields are in Salesforce are what's called runtime formulas. So Salesforce formula fields don't store the result of the formula. They only calculate when the record is called to duty. So if the record's pulled up as an individual record, if it's on a list view, or if it's in a report, that calculation now gets displayed, which means you can reference them in a report to then calculate them on the report itself. But you can't reference another summary formula field in the report. You can reference formula fields, but not the report-driven ones. And because it's got to do the entire calculation in one run, so it doesn't reference anything. Now there's a function, just FYI. There's a function to get around this, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but we'll see them. It's previous sum or some other sum, where there's like a little hack where you can in your calculation you can use the previous value that was summarized as part of your formula. But that's not the same as using, it's a little trick that trickles down calculation, if you will. So you could, if you were counting, wholesale, I'm not going to, but there's a little glitch in there, but let's get the basics done first. And maximum of 5. So we want to know, this is a horrible report for real life, but there's so many factors that make it wrong. But it does do the math if you want to see a close rate. And the close rate is really saying, of all the closed opportunities, how many did we win versus lose? So you just do simple math. You divide the number of won opportunities by the number of opportunities, and that gives you a percentage. If you did 5 out of 10, that gives you 50%, right? So number of won opportunities, because that one calculate divided by the number of closed. So you can't do that in a report unless you use a summary field. So what new people do is they export the report and they do a calculation in Excel, and then they go tell their boss, and the boss accepts an Excel spreadsheet as the source of data. And then the admin kicks him in the shin on his way out of the Salesforce office, like, stop doing that. Let me show you how to do it in Salesforce, because summary fields in Salesforce are the way to do it. So now I'm gonna. This is another one we're gonna save it. Is it we're gonna save it, or we're gonna create a new one? We're gonna create a new report. Okay, yippee! All right. So this we're gonna do a new report. And if you're following along, am I going slow enough that you can keep up? Or if I go too...
Yep,
okay.
this is a good pace.
Okay, just want to make sure my pace is good. It works great. You're smart. You keep up. Right. So in this case, we want to know all of the closed. We want the status to be closed. So remember, there's fundamentally two statuses in Salesforce, open and closed, but there's this other one called closed one. We want closed, and that's all we want, and we're going to all the close dates all time. Because it's closed, this is a good reference point. Again, all of the, I forgot. Follow the instructions. This is why I'm always in a conundrum, Lacey. When I follow the instructions, I forget of all the reasons why I don't follow instructions. So it makes me want to not follow the instructions again, which means I miss steps that are in the instructions. This is my cross to bear. All right. What do we need? We need the owner, the name, the close date, stage, and amount. Yeah, so all these junk filters. Fiscal period. Expected revenue. Owner. Account name. Nope. Owner, of your name, close date, stage, and amount. Okay, don't need the account name. Perfect. All right. So they want me to, here's because I got to follow the daggum instructions. All right, so I'm going to do it this way. Call this closed opportunity report. And this will closed opportunities report. I'm going to save and run it. And it's going to save it. And I got to tell it the folder, because by default. And I'll save it. And in the real life, we'd put some kind of description. So this is good. I can see that I've got all closed one records. When you see this, is because you said you might end up in sales ops. Lacey, what does this tell you? There's a big red flag. If all your closed opportunities are one, what do you think it's telling you? It's just a pop quiz separate from everything else. What do you think it tells you?
That well, if my salespeople, I would say then they're not logging opportunities.
Very good.
All opportunities.
That's right. They're just showing you what they won, which means they're managing their pipeline outside of Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, it's called Salesforce, not Sales Ask. So you have the ability to say, "Hey, man, do you like your job?" Like you can't. I mean, you can't say that now. Like HR doesn't let you do
Oh,
that.
they're guilty of that because I would constantly see, like, if they wait to create it until it's like into the second or third stage.
Yeah.
Like, no.
100%. I get it. And they go, but what it means is they don't understand the power of time management. That's what I teach in my productivity class, all right? If you really understand the power of Salesforce to help you manage your time and manage your data so you don't go crazy by going to spreadsheets or notepads or this or that, if you use it, not only does everybody else have visibility, you have visibility of your data. So you actually get the most benefit from Salesforce. So I try to teach
you. They also refuse to use leads.
What's that?
They also refuse to use leads.
Because they don't understand time management. Mm-hmm. They are suffering from sales. Now my buddy who is in my American Legion post, he's a director of psychiatry at the Veterans Administration. He does not agree with the way I use this word, but he doesn't deal with salespeople. They're victims of sales psychosis. That they think if they put in leads, it's going to somehow distract them. It's going to somehow cause them a problem. while they're sticking their head with they're beating their head with a hammer, going, I don't know why my head hurts. I don't know why my head hurts. That's what's happening, right? I'm happy to beat that drum because I love beating that drum. If you can't tell already, I love beating that drum. So I'm gonna do some stuff here if I can. I don't know if I will be able to. I'll be able to edit. I'm just gonna take a couple of these and actually change them to close lost. Now, I don't know why I can't do multiple, but that's a whole different. We'll worry about that later.
I don't have that button.
What's that? Enable.
Um,
Did you field able? Field editing enabled. Click that button up there.
I don't have it.
You don't have it? You might have it. You don't have it? So on yours, it's not there up top?
Oh, do I have to save and run?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you got to save and run. Yeah, you got to do it on the real report, right?
Yes. Okay, now I do. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. So I'm just going to pick a couple of lost ones. Do some. So again, I know what you're dealing with, and it's the funniest. Now here's the thing about why I call it sales psychosis, because reality and sales don't always mix. So you have there is a art and a science to this. I'm telling you that because I've trained, managed, built sales teams, the whole 9 yards, and I've worked with knuckleheads that are in their own little world sometimes. But they create a reality that makes them effective, right? So you have to just deal with that. And so, but you also have to get them some point in time. Here's how I've made it work in the past. I have usually one or two salespeople will drink my Kool-Aid. And when they do, and they sell more, that'll catch the attention of others. They're like, you made more money than me. How did you do that? I can't tell you, bro. And so anyway, it happens. Now we've got this report. It's saved. So here you can this is how you export to Excel if you haven't tried it yet. There's two ways to export it, formatted or details only. When it's formatted, it's a document. When it's details only, it's a spreadsheet and you can use it for data. You can do commas, delimited, or Excel. Doesn't really matter to me which one you do. This is what a lot of people do, and they end up thinking, and then they have figuring out how things work otherwise. I deal with salespeople a lot of times that they still have a sales manager that forces them to do Excel spreadsheets. So I'll teach them how to export into Excel and then send the spreadsheet to the manager. Like, here you go. Send that to your manager. Because some sales managers they should be beaten about the head and shoulders. All right. So now we're going to, if my Excel will open, it should open the report. Now we're going to save this report as, I'm going to save it as, so we can do what's called win rate report. And my Excel will pop open at some point. Maybe. Did it not want to pop open? Okay. And we're going to add that summary formula. Oh, it opened up on a different screen. So again, it's just the data. But now, if you do the Excel, you could open it up and you could create the same formula. I think. I don't know how you do it. But it would go. This is what people tend to do. They export it in Salesforce and do that. Now, the only time I really like Excel is if you're creating a snapshot of how things are today and you want to compare it 30, 60, 90 days from now if you're on a project or something. All right, so now we're going to create, under the columns tab, we're going to add a row level formula. The first thing I've got to do is I've got to add. Do I have to add a summary? Yeah, we're going to summarize the amount. So we need a sum. We have to have a summary level in order to create a summary level field. And now I'm going to add a row level formula, and I hate seeing that little AI thing. Nope, I just want my. I'm going to call this win rate. And the output is going to be a percentage. Whoop. Formula output. Isn't the formula going to be a percentage? Let's see something real quick. Yeah, percent. That's what I thought, buddy.
I don't have percent.
What did they? I know. Like, wait a minute. All right, let's leave it. All right, we'll see how this goes. So there's a couple ways to do this. I'm just gonna build it. I'm gonna build it one way. So I want the sum of the one. Wait, I want sum. Why is it not showing me? There's my one. Why they kind of changed this all up a little bit on me, you little boogers. Oh. I know why. I know why. I know why. I know why. Column name. No, let's see. I want one. Did I hold on? I think I know why. No, I'm in an opportunities report. I'm in closed. All done. MS. Oh, I didn't add. I thought I grouped by that field. Oh, well, I'm summarizing by that field. Now, oh, sorry. Summarize. That's sum. Good. Oh, I remember. Here's what. I got to group it. I got to group by owner. Duh. No wonder I couldn't create. That's what I was. Wait a minute. I'm not doing a row formula. I'm doing a summary formula. This will do it now. Sorry. I
Why
just
do you
got
have
to.
to group by owner?
Yeah, do it by owner first. Yeah.
Why?
Summary formulas only work on summary reports and matrix reports. Make sense? So if you don't have a summary row, it can't do a calculation as a summary because then it just goes to grand total and it doesn't do grand total thing.
Okay.
Does it make sense? I forgot to summarize. I'm like, why is it not? Of course, it was doing a row level formula. So you can do row formulas across because it goes across the row to create a column result.
Oh, sure.
And a
Okay.
summary formula has to be up and down. Yeah. So I want the one. Now notice I picked the field. I want to do one divided by closed. All the one opportunities divided by closed opportunities. So there's different functions. I want the sum of the one, just a little bit backwards, divided by the sum of the closed. So that's the formula that I'm ending up with, right? And again, you have all the little functions, plus, minus, blah, blah, blah. Another way to do it is you could search the field and do one. You could pick the one field, and then if you chose sum, you can insert that into your formula builder. That's what this little guy is down here, this little formula builder. Have you built any formula fields yet?
Yeah, I've done a when we first launched opportunities 2 years ago, and so that was the first set of reporting that I did. But then I set it and forgot it. So I haven't touched opportunity reporting in like 2 years. I maintain it, but I always have to like, all right, how did I set this up? So it's quite
Sure.
possible that now, knowing what I know now,
Go back and check. Have some fun.
yeah, go back and like, do I have these
But
filtered correctly? Because I know one of the struggles I ran into, this wasn't too long ago, is they wanted to know the average stage duration.
Mm.
And if you Google it or Copilot, I would get two different reports. Like you would get two different answers.
Yeah.
It was either like opportunity history or
Yeah.
uh, there was one other one.
Snapshot data. But
And
that's not going to tell
then
you. eh, Yeah, that's a bloat. Yeah. The only way to do it is to create formula fields. And 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 the it's all right. Yeah, it's not a useful report, which is why it's really hard. It's
yeah,
in
well,
that
depending on which report I use, I'd get different answers, which is
100%.
scary.
It's
Because
why it's
like,
not useful because
why? Why is it telling me something different?
yeah, because it's a dumb report. That's how you know you're sniffing around a dumb report. So you know.
I'm gonna go tell my chief
Yeah,
customer officer.
it's a dumb report. What is it? By the way, what does that tell you?
I think what
Nothing.
they were wanting to figure out like how do we speed up the sales process? Like
Yeah,
where are we spending most of our time or whatever. But the other, not to go down a rabbit hole,
yeah,
but people are just bad at maintaining Salesforce.
a hundred
So
percent. It's
then
first
they're
of
like,
all,
oh, well, that
yeah.
opportunity, yeah, can we just delete that from the reporting because it sat in discovery for a year? It's like, okay, well, now you're gonna have to like delete it every single time.
No,
So
100% horrible idea. It's a bad idea report 100% of the time. Bad idea report 100% of the time. I agree.
okay, I'm curious to know like why. Can we just spend a minute on that?
Because of all the things you said. A, people, they want to hide it. Salespeople are psychotic. They want to hide what they think makes them look bad, forget what helps them get help. B, the data has got to be updated in order for it to be real. And C, trying to calculate on a report that returns real live data versus historical data is a whole different animal. So the only way that it works, literally, is if you create, and it's a data bloat. You got to create a data snapshot every day of what the data was, and then you got to do all kind of, so you got multiple records on the same record to then calculate the difference between slot A and slot B, and then you got to see if any of that has ever been true, which it's never true. You're not looking at true data. You're looking at true results, but that doesn't mean it's true information. What's more important is what's the time that it was created and the time that it was closed. That's a life cycle data that gives you a better indication of how long it takes to close your opportunities. There are other analytic tools that you would use outside of Salesforce reportings to get that data. There are tools that do store data outside of Salesforce because data inside of Salesforce is expensive. Over time, data inside Salesforce is expensive.
Hmm.
So it's just,
Yeah, the other thing we'd run into is the close date field wouldn't actually reflect the day they're closing it. They wouldn't always remember to go back and change it. So then you're,
yeah, it's all kind of bad. It's bad mojo all the way around. Oh,
yeah.
it's a bad report. It's a bad report for a variety of reasons. If you want to speed up velocity to sales, look, know what your people are working on, and look at Salesforce every day. Hashtag Salesforce every day. That's the answer that Dominic will promote. I did
Okay.
my output incorrectly, so it didn't come out as the right percentage. I got 2 decimal points.
I was
So
distracting you. Sorry.
no, it's all right. Um, I can't be at 100%. That's not my close rate. I fixed it. Um, win rate. Oh, see, I did. That's why I did. That did get so closed is the one I want. I didn't fix it. Closed some. It's like my math wasn't working out. I told there'd be no math. All right, we do have an hour left, so we got to get moving a little bit, but that's okay. Um, so, yeah, it's a bad report, Lacey.
Thank you. That makes me feel 1,000 times smarter. That's why when I kid
This
you
is a
not,
this is a
when
bad
I
report. This is a bad report because win rates don't tell you shit. Anyway, so this is it. This is my win rate report. I'm going to go back and save it as. So that's it. That's how you do it. So properties.
and it
Yep.
matches Excel. So
Bad report. What's that?
I said it matches Excel, so I did
Perfect.
it right.
So we already actually did the next exercise, which is edit the opportunities, enable field editing, right? We changed it. So now we have lost ones. We looked at this earlier, custom report types. It allows you to create so anytime there's a lookup relationship between two objects, that is, you're looking up to find the parent about the child. If you want to know, if you want to get data from the child records, you've got to create a custom support. Salesforce automatically creates a report type that shows you all of the parent records that have children. So that cross filter wouldn't work because it's the same record set. There are no withouts, and it's just the with. So if you want a without calculation and outer join, you got to create a custom report type. It controls the fields that show up in the default fields of the report, and the fields available from all the objects, and the fields that are selected by default. And that's in the report type. Oops. So we started doing it. I don't think we have an exercise to do it. You could change the field labels, the default selections. As this little drawback doesn't really matter, but if you're adding new custom fields to an object that has a custom report type, the default selection is to add those fields to that report type as you create the custom fields. You could deselect that, but most of the time you wouldn't. If you change the report type, it'll jack up all your existing reports. That is to say, if you change the objects in a custom report type, it deletes all. It basically all the report. It destroys all the reports you created. So that's why the standard. If you want to see what's called the blank, so what is this one? We do create one. So if we want to create a report type, again, this explains it. You select the objects, define the relationship, select the fields. That's the basic steps to do it. And when we create a new custom report type, we're going to create one that's for accounts with or without opportunities. By default, Salesforce, you can't tell that. You can only use it as a data filter of accounts. You can't pull in any of the opportunity information. So we want to be able to pull in the opportunity information. There we go. Such weird. Okay, so we want this one to be the accounts. And we want the label to be accounts contacts. I'll put that there. I think this is the one I created earlier. So if you don't see a report type, this is on the test in case you want to take the test to get certified, which I highly recommend you do because you're 1 day into 5 already. You set the availability to deployed. If you don't see a report type that you know you created, it's probably still in development, which is fine. Oh, I already created one. I already did this. Let me just go back to it then. I'm going to edit mine. You just create yours. Account with or without opportunities. And then we set the object relationship. We already set the object. We want it all accounts, whether or not they have opportunities. So that's an outer join is the technical term for it. And the only two objects we're looking at is accounts and objects. If we want to change that, we can edit it and we can add. You might want to create something with opportunities. Typically have things like products on involved. So there's a certain path you're going to go down, a parental path. And then it's always going to be, you can't go any further, or you could go up to 4. Yeah, I know. And if you make any changes, it could jack up what you got. So the edit layout is where we can select the fields that are available, and you notice some have a checkbox. So I got opportunity name. The checkbox is what makes them the default field.
Okay, where are you at? Sorry.
I'm in the edit layout,
Okay.
and they just changed the interface, so it's a default column. They made it a lot easier. It used to be.
Okay, so this is, I know that when I've been working with my one engineer, he's like, okay, hold on, those fields aren't enabled or whatever. So this must be where he's going to do that. Okay, that's interesting.
For a report, if you're the report person, and then yeah, exactly right. So these are all of what you would set as. You can also look up different fields from other related objects. You can add you can add more. Added via lookup is what this means. So if you wanted to add other lookup fields, you could, that are not necessarily inside these two objects.
Yep, that makes sense because I know that's something else he's.
Right.
Like, for example, I was working on a parent with child, and I asked to see, I'm like, okay, I need those 2 things, plus I need this other object and field.
Right.
Well, instead of creating like another custom report type, what he did is he edited the original parent with child and then added lookup field.
Well, yeah, some report types you can customize, some you can't. So if you can't customize a report type to do what you want, then you have to create one. All right. So layout, accounts with or without. So now we go to reports. And if I create a new account report with or without opportunities, it'll be at the bottom. Then I can do a report. I think we do a report now. So I want to see all accounts all time. I think I didn't put all of the fields that I could have. Their name, I'm going to put stage in there. Account name. Do I have account owner? So, Benz. this lets you see the blank spots, right? So this is just this is saying this is accounts with or without opportunities report. And you could do a quick sort or filter. I like sorting before I group. See if the group's worth a stink. So it should have. So these are my 4 accounts that do not have opportunities. Right? So that's easy. If you want to group by that, you can. So however you want to do it. So, but it's kind of, but it gives you a quick look at what blanks are there. And blanks are everything in Salesforce reports. Blanks are everything. So, and why they couldn't do this before is because, didn't answer the question on the slideshow. The reason we needed a custom report type is the cross object filter only will only give you the result of the object you're in, not any data from what they're filtering on. So even if you did an accounts report with opportunities, you still couldn't pull in the opportunity data unless you had a report type that brought that data in with it. Because that's what's available in your, the report type gives you those other fields that are available. So it's all based on the fields that are available on your report type. So again, one of the reasons reports kind of suck in most CRMs is that people don't really understand all the nuanced data that's really on the details tab, or they don't know data exists because their page layout doesn't show data. Like some of the data you don't know, like the admin knows the data because you can go look at the object and see all the fields and see how they're using it. Even the data is not on the page layouts. So we're good there. So when you got record types, there's a couple of things that there's this any that you have to the status, because any do you know what, have you done record type stuff information yet? Like if you have, I think you said in bank, like you might have one kind of bank you sell to versus a whole different other, like you might have one kind of customer versus a different kind of customer. So you might segment record types because record types allow you to have different pick list values on the same field. Mm-hmm. They also allow you to have different page layouts for the same profile. So I could see my B2C, let's say my business to consumer customers record different than I see my B2B customers differently, right? Because I just need different information about them. I'm going to take different behaviors, those kind of things. But if the same profile can only see one page layout by default, so record types is a way that you overcome that, so I can see both business and consumer records. So when you have that in your reports, especially with opportunities, just the fact about opportunities, your opportunity status has to be addressed. Any is the default, because you could have multiple stages, but you only use 4 of them for consumer and use all 14 for business. So any stage versus each individual stage, because the record type allows you to filter any pick list value, even though this is a more complex one. So you can definitely filter by open, close one. That's always there. But the other stages may not be the same per record type. So it's just like any is the default. Anyway, make sense? Does that make sense? It looked like I got a little confusion on you. Did I slap a little confusion
Not
on you?
really. I was just trying to like rerun it in my head. So
Here's the thing. Don't worry about it unless it happens.
okay.
If it happens, and it'll be rare, and if the report's asking, if you have record types, then on your opportunities, and then you're trying to scope filter, you're going to have to use a data filter instead. That's all. So instead of the scope being opportunity status prospecting, right? Remember, that's one of the stages we have in ours.
Hmm.
Record types, you might not have prospecting for your B2C. So you can't filter for that with the scope. You can only filter for it with the data filter. You'll know because the screen won't let you do anything else. I default back to, what does the screen say? Well, do what the screen says, because that's what's actually happening. But I know you don't like it, but do what the screen says, because that's what's on the screen. That makes sense? That's your
Sure.
default thing you remember. Don't remember all these little details, because that's just, we put this in there in case you're taking a test. So you have something to reference. We wouldn't leave it out. But in reality, do what the screen says.
Okay.
That's all they're saying. You're going to have, we don't know what it goes to. Scheduling, subscribing to, here's the thing you got to remember about subscribing to a report. If you subscribe to a report or dashboard, the recipient of that report must be one of your Salesforce users.
Hmm.
If you add an attachment of the report results, that data is no longer secured by Salesforce. You added it separately, and it can be, anybody can open that attachment. We can't stop people from opening the attachments. You can stop your users from subscribing to reports with attachments, but you can't stop users from sharing that attachment. Make sense?
Right.
And the security model of Salesforce, the rule is, when you look at a report, you'll never see records you're not supposed to see. So if I'm a manager and I see all 500 records, and all 500 records will be in the body of the email and or also attached, if you add an attachment of those records, anybody they forward that email to can now see the body of that email. But if each individual salesperson pulled a report and they only saw their each 100 records, they can only see their 100 records live in Salesforce. But if the sales manager forwards everything that they can see it in the body. Now, if they try to open the report, they're only going to see their records they're supposed to see when they look at in Salesforce, because Salesforce enforces security. Human beings do not. So it's all this matter of, it's a permission to allow people to subscribe to reports or not. It's a permission to allow them to add an attachment to the report. So if I want to see and I want to subscribe to this report, you can only subscribe to a report once a day, but you could subscribe to it every day. Or if you do it weekly, you could do it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You could pick the days to have it run when it's weekly, or it could be daily. And that attachment, that button is there, that means they have the permission to do that. If you want them not to do that, you have to take that permission off their profile. If you want to remove that attach file, but I'm almost 100% sure it at some point used to be a permission. Let's hope they didn't change it. So I'm saying that with 100% confidence that if there's a permission to it. Also, the recipients of the report, because you're an admin, you can set this up. You could send it to an individual users or a public group. Now, public groups are, public groups are a feature of the user section, not to be confused with chatter groups that are public. There are chatter groups that have public and private visibility. And there are public groups, which is a way that you can create groups of users by their role, their role in subordinates, or other public groups or individual users. So those teams things you were talking about, if the team is based on their role, then I would create a public group for each team and add all the roles that make up that team. That way, when users move in and out of those roles based on their job fluidity in the company, automatically the people that are part of that group that get the thing, that can do the thing, are all going to get the things appropriate to that. If that's messed up, somebody says, "Hey, I'm getting the reports from the wrong group," then all you have to do is go back and update their user record to make sure they're in the right role. The worst way to create public groups is by adding and subtracting individual users. Because now you got to remember where that group because public groups is used for record sharing and also report delivery. So it's just one of those things. And by the way, you learn this by going through the nightmare of not remembering this. If and when it becomes a nightmare. But that's okay. You'll learn that over time. Not a big deal. It's just the way it works. That make sense? Mm-hmm. The preferred time that you set up for the report is always within 30 minutes. It's typically a rule of Salesforce because they don't know what load is going to be on the system at the moment in that time. So if they pick a time for 3 o'clock and they got a 3 o'clock meeting, tell them to pick 2 o'clock. And they'll have it a half hour before the meeting.
What is the time zone in which
the user who's subscribing to the report is in? Or it might be the organizational time zone. I don't remember. Does that matter for you?
No, I was just curious because I know I have people subscribe to it, and I just did 7 a.m. Central. I was like, all right, well, that'll be 8 a.m. Eastern or, well, in their inbox before 8 a.m. for the Mountain and West Coast folks. But
let me just see if it's out there. It might be out there.
I thought it was the local.
So it's based upon who the running user of the report. So when we say, so it depends on who's running the report. So if the person running the report, if it's me and I'm in Eastern time and I say 3 o'clock, it's going to run 3 o'clock Eastern. If it's somebody else, then it's going to be whoever else I picked to run that report. It's going to be their time zone. That's a good point. I just forgot. You could also add conditions to the report, all those things. So a user can subscribe for themselves or they can edit recipients as well. Typically, the recipients they edit are people below them in the role hierarchy.
Is it true?
Not usually above.
People can't subscribe to it unless they have
edit permission.
Is it edit?
They might have to have edit permission on the report.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I don't remember that because day to day, all the orgs I work in, I'm usually the admin. So I don't really know how it is for real people.
I know, that's how I'm like, what do you mean you don't have that button? I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Too bad for you. Get certified. All right. So that's a subscription.
Cool.
We just did that so we can run it as me. Now the join report adds up to 5 blocks of related data because you can't have a report type. Remember how we built the report type based on the child and then that child's child and that kind of stuff, right? So you can't have all the siblings on one report type. Can't have accounts with opportunities, with cases, with contacts because those are all siblings. So the way you add siblings to a report is join reports. It allows you to have an account report and see the account, the opportunities, the contacts, and the cases. Those are the 3 biggie children, right? That's a big deal in reporting that above and beyond any other all the other CRMs that I know of. So they have their own fields, their own columns, their own sorting, their own filtering, but they are all connected with one ID. So they all share the same account ID. They all share the same user ID. They all share the same territory ID. Whatever that is, it'll gather the parent. It'll gather all the children of that parent ID. Make sense? You got to play with this one a little bit to get the hang of it,
Yeah. Mhm.
but this is a good example of how to do it. So
Okay.
we're going to create. Yep. Question?
No. Nope. I was saying okay.
Yeah. So we're going to do an account contact report. And now I'm worried that, oh no, I hope we don't run out of. We can do contacts and accounts. And our scope is going to be all accounts, all time. And I just want the first name, last name of the contact. And then I'm going to change this to a join report. So when you change it to a join report, you get the add block button. You're just creating another little report now in this. We're going to add a block for opportunities. And we're going to add that block. And if you'll notice, there's my contact. This is going to be which. So it's basically creating a new report. I don't want their role. I don't want the, what do I want? I want opportunity name, opportunity stage, close date, amount. And I clicked, I gotta add close date. So it just works the same way. And I gotta do my filters for it. It's got its own little block filters tab. I want all opportunities all time. Any opportunity status, all probabilities. And I want a sum of the amount field, which I think is there. Sum of the amount. And then I can close that block or collapse that block and add another block for cases. Let me know if I'm moving too fast. So I don't need to know the case owner. What do I need? Cases. Subject, case owner, status, date, and time open. Time open. Status. Status, subject, case owner, status, subject. All right. And then I'm going to group all these by the account name. And then I'm going to save this as And I'm going to save and run it. And there's my little join report. Yay, everybody's happy now. This was impossible with a report type because they're all equal siblings. I mean, they're all siblings. They're all related to the same parent. So a join report allows you to show each block, right? So for Burlington, I could see I got Jack Rogers, one opportunity, we lost it. But they got 2 cases for some reason. Like, how did they get a case? Like, so that's a weird one, but all right, we'll figure that out. Oh, I know, because I changed this to close loss. It's not often that a non-customer will have problems with the product they did not buy. But remember, I just changed a bunch to loss, so that's why the data's weird. So Dominic's got to go in and fix that later, not today. But that shows you if something was wrong or right. Those kind of things happen. This is S4's 2 context, no opportunities or cases, which is appropriate. You shouldn't really have cases until they're customers. Why are you solving problems people haven't given you money, right? So this is the report. I don't think we can add a chart to it. Maybe. I don't think so, though. I don't know what kind of chart we would add. So it's an account report. Maybe I doubt that'll work. So it depends on the math, what it does. I don't know what it's going to do, so I'm going to take that off. Take that off and stop goofing around. And were you complete with it? Did you get it finished?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Did you have any questions about it?
I don't think so. But they all have to have the same
ID in common. Some ID has to be the same. One ID is basically the same ID in common. Typically, it's the account, the user, the owner, the something.
Okay.
In this,
something else that they had said is when you apply filters,
yeah,
you have to try to apply the same filter to every block.
The scope of every block, the scope filter for every block is useful. But those are little details that I don't really care about till I really have to. But I get why you would care about them because you're doing this for a living, right? So, but as you know, yes. So, so you want the hardest part with a join report is making sure that all of your data records are in the same bucket. That there's no alter criteria. That's typically the problem I would see with join reports. If somebody puts fiscal quarter in one, calendar quarter in another, something else, they just missed the scope, or they put a data filter in that took out all the opportunities or something. So it'll look, but I think it'll look weird enough. I haven't done a lot of these in real life, so I don't know what real life data looks like. I know I could probably come up with some stuff, but if you run into the problem, I'm not kidding when I say about just reach out to me.
Okay.
Now
you can't export joined reports, right? Or no, you can.
Yeah, you can export them. Sure. You can add them to a dashboard, so they do have a component nature to them, which we're going to do next, which is dashboards. And we have 35 minutes left, which we can get it done. So, but we did. So the dashboard has a few more. It has graphs and metrics as additional displays. Graphs, metrics, and tables as additional displays other than the charts from the report. So the report only has charts. But the dashboard has a couple of other things which allow it to show basically grand totals. So if you have a tabular report, you can show the grand total of it without having a summarization in it. And then you can also show portions of the table, and that functionality between Classic and Lightning is more enhanced. You have more records in your table component than you could way back when in Classic. But charts, gauges, tables, or graphs are what's in the components. Bless you. So the information, this is actually not 100%. This word you is missing something, which you, the running user of the dashboard, has access to. So this often causes distress to some dashboard users when they see a total of 2 million here and then they click the underlying report and they only see 487,000. They're like, Salesforce is broken. No, it's not. Reports only show the logged in user the exact records they're supposed to see. That's true for dashboards, but the person looking at the dashboard may not be the person who Salesforce has running the dashboard. So, for example, you could run the dashboard as the CEO. Therefore, all records are included in all the subtotals and totals. But when I click the underlying report, I'm the lowest guy on the totem pole, and I see only a fraction of the records or 0 records sometimes, that causes dissonance in the eyes of the user that's logged in. They go, why is that? Why is that? We're like, but you're not the CEO, bro. You're like sales development rep 101. You see your stuff. So there's a disconnect in that regard. My quick recommendation is when you run the dashboard, always run it. Initial dashboards, I would always run them as the logged in user so that a person only sees the records on the dashboard that they'll see in the report. That's like a little thing you may or not have, that may or may not be possible all the time, but where it's possible, it's pretty useful. So I just created a folder, and like any folder, I got to share it. And like any folder sharing, I'm just going to, right, for this purpose of this class, our internal users, I'm going to share it with them and then hit go, hit done. Dashboard folders hold dashboards. Now, on the App Exchange, for this development org, there is an app built by Salesforce Labs that allows you to load up a bunch of pre-made reports that are marginally useful in the developer org. That is to say, the developer org doesn't have a lot of data in it. But they're marginally useful in that they kind of give you, they don't have templates in Lightning. There's no standard reports like there are in Classic. But there's a bunch of pre-built ones, and there's one, and they have one. These are free, so they just didn't load you up with them. But you can, but this, they actually did load up. If I look at all dashboards, they did load up a couple of dashboards in our little thing. But there are some on the App Exchange. The one that has, yeah. This is a good example, by the way. So the source report is based on a report. It says type because the developer who wrote this phrase didn't understand what type impact was. It just said based on a report that's inaccessible to whoever's running the dashboard. So I don't know where the underlying report is, but if I try to click on the report, I won't see anything because I don't have access to it, which is why, even as an admin, the way they set this up, because these folders, the report folders, are in, are they shared with me? enablement dashboard. So if I share them, they were created by, it says it's, I don't know what's weird about this. It's supposed to be there. But all right, I'm not going to worry about it. We don't have time to worry about all the little things. But that's something that'll happen when your folder strategy is a little off and your sharing's a little off. So a lot of times what I will do is I'll create reports for the appropriate people. And then if I'm creating a dashboard, I'll either move all those reports into a dashboard folder like it's supposed to be doing now. And then make sure that all the sharing of those reports, like I'll take all the reports I'm using for a dashboard, either copy them or move them into a folder that's labeled for dashboards so that I'm sharing them with the same people so that everybody can see the underlying report. But again, if nobody complains, it's not a necessary step to take. So it depends on your strategy and what you inherit and what you're actually building to think about those things is why I'm saying it. It's just something to consider.
Okay.
So we're going to create a new dashboard, and we're just going to build out some of the things we did. So we're going to create a folder. I created a folder called GenWatt Dashboards, but to follow the instructions, like the good little boy that I'm not, I'm going to create another one. Actually, yeah, I'm going to create another one. No, tell you what. I'm going to create a new folder inside this folder, and I'm going to call it GenWatt Sales. Now, this is only necessary. On this one, there is no sharing. There's no sharing button because the root folder determines the sharing for everything in that folder. So GenWatt Reports and GenWatt Sales is only there to segregate my dashboards to make it easier for users to find them and use them. It does not change the sharing of the dashboards. But anyway, so now we're going to create a new dashboard. Yeah, thank you so much, Einsteiny. And I'm going to call this one Sales Open Opportunities. Now, why dashboards are better than charts is not that they're better. The functionality available in dashboards versus charts is that you can use the same source report and display it in different components to communicate different aspects of the same report. Mm-hmm. So that's an art. As much as you understand the science of it, that's easy. Oh, one report can fill multiple components. But the art of it is crafting a picture that has your users understand what's actually happening and what needs to happen next. Right? So that's the thing. So we add widgets. So charts or tables, this charts, graphs, and tables are what we're adding. Text and image is just another thing they added to make it prettier. Mm-hmm. If you want to add, if I want to add the open.
I've done this I have like a demo dashboard, and so I've created instructions on our SharePoint. So then I'll just say start here, and I'll link it.
So we can just create this nice little sort of label. Is that going to be... I just did that. Can I undo that? Undoey. Yay. So it's just, come on, man. All right. So it's just there to do something, but I'm going to add a widget. I'm going to add a charter table. And really, let's see the first one we're going to do. It says component in your guide, but it's a widget now.
Mhm.
I'm going to do the opportunities by month report. Open opportunities by month report. And then I'm going to pick a bar chart. And again, you could change how you sort it by either close date, opportunity owner. It all depends on what you're showing, what you want to see. I'm going to show reference line. I don't know if that's going to matter. You have a title. You pick the report. You could use the chart settings from the report or not. It's up to you. Depends if it's the right ones. You can choose what to sort by and how to sort it. Whether you want close date, some of the amount, or I want some of the amount, and then the owner. Depends on what you want to do. Custom link, I'm not sure. Subtitle, footers, all those added things you can add. You can make it light or dark. That's the basic functionality. Again, it's all making it pretty. So January, December, February, I'd sort it by amount. That looks weird. People are going to get confused. Let me go back to some standard stuff. So I want this. I'm going to sort that by opportunity owner. And then sort by owner. And then by close date. So again, what's going to make sense to people? I just did that in a direction that's weird for humans. So I try not to memorize all these things. I try to just be able to read the screen and interpret what I'm trying to accomplish. So this is like this would do. Each owner could creep down the page as you want to do it. Y-axis. Did I get this right? So let me just see. Y-axis is...
I think so you sort by your y-axis is close date and then get rid of opportunity owner. Is how they have it in the instructions.
So by close date, yeah. X-axis is sum of the amount, right?
Yeah, so because in the report we have it grouped by two things. So
right, yeah.
They're just keeping it simple. So then just get rid of your second grouping.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it. This is fine, right? This will do December. So I'm fine with it. And then we're gonna add. You already probably added your second widget, which is the next one. And then all opportunities by account.
I have all three.
You have all three done already? Of course. And when you get the stacked is when you have more than one row summary in the stacked. And then I'm just going to add that. So that's all my open opportunities by account. And then I'm going to do the last one, which is my stupid win rate report. And I say stupid because this really doesn't tell anything. Like this really doesn't communicate true manageable metrics. What are we doing? Are we doing a gauge? Yeah. And then we're going to lie about the gauge. Win rates. Sort by. Wait, that's not right. Am I in the win rate report?
Do gauge, not donut.
Win rate. Anyway, yeah, I need a gauge. Whoops. There we go. I'm just going to leave the breakpoints as they are because it's fine. You could add more, but you understand, right? So it's.
Yep.
It's a lie anyway. So what do I care? So that's it. So now the dashboard settings is, again, I want to reinforce this. So it's got a name, it's got a description, it's got a folder. Great. The view dashboard as the person building the dashboard, an assigned person. This determines the data that's going to return in the underlying reports. So the dashboard viewer will always match the dashboard results, and the underlying reports will always match the dashboard user if you pick the dashboard user, right? Because, and again, that's a good entry level dashboard for people, so they don't get this confusion about and start to people will find every way they can not to trust the new system. I try to remove as many of those friction points as possible. So this is just one of the little tips I'm telling you, Lacey, that when you're building this out, this is a good way to do it. Now, I do also click this one because what this means is they can't pick anybody to view it as. They can only pick people below them in the reporting structure. So if a sales manager has 7 people that report to them, and they see the totals of all 7, but they're about to have their one-on-one with Frank, then Frank only sees his numbers. But now the sales manager will have to do math unless you let him pick, well, let me see it as Frank. So they can pick a subordinate's numbers to filter out all the rest so that the sales manager is going to see the same thing Frank's seeing when they have their weekly one-on-one. Now, I said that with a little bit of sarcasm in my mind because there's a question I ask often, and that is, how well do you think your sales managers are leveraging Salesforce in their weekly one-on-ones? Now, have you ever heard what a presupposition is?
No.
I'm presupposing that they, A, are using Salesforce in their one-on-ones, and I'm also presupposing that they're having their one-on-ones weekly, and I'm presupposing that they're actually even having one-on-ones. So there's 3 presuppositions in that question that when I'm talking to an executive and I'm selling them my services for coaching and training that I do individually with people, I go, yeah, how well do you think your salespeople leverage Salesforce in their weekly one-on-ones? And they go, well, I think they do pretty good. I'm like, really? Show me the evidence that they're even having one-on-ones. And they go like, what? Well, I told them to. I'm like, well, that's not evidence. That's hallucination. Show me the evidence that they're using Salesforce in their one-on-ones. They're like, well, I can't. I'm like, I know. So that's why you hire me to go in and watch them and see what they do and then tell on them and tell them here's what I tell sales managers. I'm going to tell on you unless you listen to what I tell you what to do. Because it's called Salesforce, not do your own thing and ruin people's time management. So anyway, that's the whole thing. The other thing is, and that's why the change button appears, is so I could choose it. I could choose somebody who reports to me. The other things about dashboards you need to know that you can change like if you're building a dashboard, you could change the owner of a dashboard so somebody else can do it. Then, where's my subscribe button in my dashboards? Let me see. This, my subscribe button.
This is what I ran into. I don't think you. Oh gosh, how did this work for you last time? It's a dynamic.
There's a setting. There's a set. Oh, because I set it to the dashboard viewer. I think the reason is because I set it to the dashboard viewer, I can't let the logged in user. I don't know. I just try stuff till it works. Let me just see if I can do that. Let's see if that works. No, I don't remember where the dashboard thing is for that. View dashboard as. We've covered all this already, but take a quick, brief look at it, see if they have any questions about it. It's good reference material here, but it does everything I talked about and why. Subscription. Oh, there it
If
is.
you do the
So there it is.
dashboard viewer,
It's subscribe. You got to subscribe to it. I don't know why the button showed up just now, but there it is. Why did it show up if I picked it as?
because if you do the dashboard viewer, it's a dynamic dashboard, and I think that's the restriction
Correct. I think it is. So if I do dashboard viewer,
to me.
let me just see if I can even do that. Oh, it's
There.
the change as button. I think that
Mhm.
jacked it up. But that's okay, because I think that's you got to test these things. Why didn't you know that, Dominic? No, I don't think that's it. I think it's, well, let me refresh it and see if the changes take place and if it takes the button away. But it also has to be a permission of the user to be able to subscribe to a dashboard. When you subscribe to a dashboard, much like a report subscription, the dashboard, the picture of the dashboard gets sent via email. And when, yeah, that's what it is. So when somebody, it's the ability to change it that messes it up. I think. I'm going to test again because you never know till you test it twice. Yeah, the logged in, but you got to refresh the whole page. You'll have it load up all the gizmo settings. Salesforce pages don't refresh automatically.
Oh, maybe that's what it was for me.
So sometimes, yeah. So it's the logged in user that prevents it from being subscribed to, because because that's the thing. Salesforce probably can't render the dashboard and maintain the security model in a subscription because I don't know why. They just haven't figured that out yet.
We'll just pretend we know.
But that's
I'm
it.
sure
So,
they have a good reason.
so that's the reason. Yeah, it is what it is. It do what it do, and it don't do what it don't do, and you don't stress about what it do or not do. Just do what it do. So there's that. There's plenty of help. There's some guys that had a YouTube channel. Maybe they stopped producing. Dashboard Dojo. I learned a lot of stuff from those guys in the past.
Okay.
So that's it. We did good. We kind of nailed it right on time, Lacey. I was going to call you Lexi, but Lacey. I mean, keyboard shortcuts, I love them, but I've given up. The world is moving to force me to use two hands instead of a single keyboard. It pisses me off, but I've tried to be a keyboard guy my whole life, and they just keep moving me away from it. What I want to invent is a keyboard that I can actually operate the whole keyboard with one hand for typing and stuff, and not take my mouse off my hand off the mouse. But I'm not too lazy to actually invent it. But I'm just keep saying it, so maybe someone else will. You can always open multiple tabs in Salesforce. It's not a problem. Like you can take any link and open it up in a new tab. Or you can control click things, and you can hover to discover is always a good reminder. Control clicking opens that tab up. There's a couple of things in there, but that's nice little tips and tricks. The tabs all have recent. They have a little caret on them, so that's a good little, when you've been somewhere, you could pick the recent records or the recent list or open in a new tab if you want to.
We actually have it designed differently. I don't necessarily like it, but ours is one navigation menu, and then it shows all your tabs.
You have what's called the console view. So the console view is like this, right? So you have this, and
Yep.
then you go to your tabs. And the beautiful thing about the console view, this is great for customer service reps specifically, or if you're a juggler of records that you work with, because when you open records, the parent record, anytime you open up or navigate within that 360 view of the customer, like all the other things you click on, it opens up all those tabs as sub tabs to that main record. So you could switch from ABC company to XYZ company to RQS company to blah, 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 blah. And any other tabs that you opened, they're still open under that individual tab. So, and it's
And
just
that's
being,
why they did it. So
but I give people the choice, but customer service, it just works better for customer service, or inbound sales is a lot like customer service because you're working on something, but you got to hang up the call and you're waiting, and so you got to work on somebody else. So it keeps all that work open in tabs. But it's just tab management's a thing. I don't know why it's taking so long. It just is. So, do you feel more comfortable? Obviously, you did new stuff, you got some questions answered already. But how comfortable do you feel taking on reports and dashboards for yourself as you move forward?
I feel better. Can I run a scenario by you? So with this
100%.
new, so our division previously was known as Partner Solutions. So that's how I have basically all of our reports and dashboards set up. It's filtered by division on opportunity owner, for example. Now with this reorg, we're taking on another division. Um, and I'm kind of like, okay, how do I want to do a bunch of work to change everything now or later? So as we onboard new users, they have a different division called, I'll just say CCL for right now. It's commercial and credit lending. To keep them segmented, because the boss man wants to be able to see partner solutions, and then he wants to see CCL separately. Um,
Of
and I
what kind of work does he want to see separate? Opportunities, accounts?
opportunities, yep.
So,
So my
opp-
initial thought was to keep them segmented for now. Long term, we do need to get everyone renamed to our new division, which is customer success. Um, it's more or less like buying myself time. So I was just curious, like, how do you recommend?
record types.
That's what I was thinking because
So, are
for
you going to
our partner solutions, we have new business and existing business. That's, those are the two names. And then for CCL, it's loans. That's their record type. But I,
But what record type? Opportunities or
yeah,
accounts?
opportunity.
So it kind of depends. So I got to be careful what I suggest to you. Overall, I would explore record types because they're doing a different job on the same records. That's when record types comes into play. I'm doing different work. I don't. So I got 5 minutes to teach you all this. You ready? The rule is keep it standard Salesforce. That is to say, I don't want to create another object in my org that replicates the kinds of data that I would store as an account. The way that you do that in Salesforce is you create a record type that segments your data into the different types of accounts you might work with. So when it comes to accounts, you got to understand what the basic definition of an account is. An account is an entity. That entity could be a customer, could be a partner, could be a competitor, it could be a direct consumer, or it could be a household. Like, you got different ways, but it's an entity. It's an entity that has people in the entity. So it was built by companies and contacts. But instead of calling them companies, they called it account, because Salesforce back in 1999 only sold their software to businesses who used it to sell to other businesses. So this was a structure that made sense to everybody until people who sold to consumers started using Salesforce. Then they went like, yeah, just call the company's accounts. And just call people their own. Like they had this whole thing. So they created person accounts. Anyway, so record types allows you to segment your data, which does this
And
thing.
opportunities is a great example because we're
Yeah.
all doing opportunities, but based on payments or
Yeah, I
seasonality.
got it. I just want to show you this in accounts first before I go to opportunities. So when you have different layouts, page layouts, notice I have 4 page layouts for my account record, which means the fields displayed on the page along with the related records for that page layout are different based on the page layout, based on who's looking at that account record. So marketing looks at the account differently than sales looks at the account versus how support would look at that account record. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the problem. Each profile can only see that record one way. So a marketing person can't look at the sales layout of an account record. They can only look at it the way they're designed. Record types allows you to overcome that barrier. I'm just going to create a new record type. I'm going to create, and I'm showing you this because it works the same exact way. It works the same exact way for opportunities, leads, and cases. Except for one thing. Opportunities, leads, and cases all have a special field. So when you have a second record type, you can decide which profiles have that record type that they can access. So if you want to keep the P&L, the payments people from seeing the records that the other people see, make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't assign it to their profile. So you got to create a separate profile for them. But some profiles need to see both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you have this ability to be flexible. So I'm going to make
Okay.
this available to everybody, and I'm going to make it like so that. Now, once you have record types, you can control. Do I have something? Oh, I got it. All right. Page that. I'm going to call this one. Just assigning it to everybody. So now you can control the page layout assignment. So I'll show you what I did to the page layout assignment in just a second. So, and the pick list values. But now here's what record types do. Now I assigned both record types to all profiles. So there is, I probably should have done, too late now. So everybody gets the original business layout. And if it's a consumer, everybody gets I just assigned it this way, right? But you notice now each profile can see the default, which was called the master before you added record types. And they can see it if they're assigned the record type, they can see the page layout one way or the other if their profile allows them to. And the only thing you have to do different, the only thing different in that is in leads, contacts, and cases. You have to set up a lead process, a sales process, or a support process. And that is nothing more. Let me go to sales process. It's nothing more than taking the master list of pick list values. Notice I got this master list of pick list values. That's the stages that you had in your opportunity from before. I'm going to keep all those because for business, it's fine. I'm going to create a new sales process for B2C. And I don't need all these steps for B2C. So I'm just going to I'm not prospecting them. I'm not negotiating with them. So that when I'm selling a consumer, I'm seeing if what they need, I'm qualifying their purchase, and I'm presenting them with an option, and they either buy or don't buy. When I'm in a business, I'm using all those stages. Does that make sense? That's true for all the pick list values. So a business, you go through this, as part of your sales process. But a consumer, it's one-to-one. It's really easy to fix. That's the only thing you have to set up first before you create record types on opportunities. Then you can adjust for, now that I have that sales process, and I wanted to show you, and I'm okay being over if you're okay being overtime. Like, are you okay being overtime? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Dominic, I'm like rocking it. All right. You're answering my question. So now that I've created the sales process, I can now create, what were the two sellers that you have now, or two different ones you got now?
Payments and credit, we just call it.
This is called payments. So payments, let's call that, is that B2B more like? Let's just call it
Yeah.
that. So they use the B2B sales process. And that's going to, and then I decide which page layout they get. I'm going to just do the opportunity sales layout. Let's just call it that. And we'll create another record type. And it's, yeah, we'll call another one called credit, you said?
Yeah.
And that, I'm going to just say, is the B2C sales process. Make it active. I'm going to make it available. I don't think these page layouts are really any different, but I'll just call it the marketing layout. Go from there. So each one of these record types will display an opportunity differently based on, because I've now assigned the page layouts to the type and then the profile. Now, on a granular basis, I can make any changes I want to this. I can go to the analytics cloud integration user, and I can make all the page layouts the same. But I have the flexibility. I just put them all in one as a default for now. But when the other thing about record types is you can adjust the pick list values for all the fields. So in the, well, the type is not good, but so in the, for payments, there's no upgrades, there's no downgrades, there's just a new customer or replacing it, let's just say, right? So you're not creating a new field to report different data. You're just saying, I'm taking all the irrelevant options out of the way. And if I have to add, which one was this? Type? So now in type, if I add another value, like for a type of opportunity, what might be for payments? What might be something that's useful for payments? Just any type of opportunity. What would you call it?
I guess, what do you mean by, is this back to the record type or
I'm just saying there's this, like, this type field is like new or existing business is typically what it is, right? So
yeah.
So is this new? We already got new, but what's it's what?
It could be both.
It could be what?
Could be both new and existing.
Right. So let's just put, and I'm just gonna add that pick list value to the payments record type. So now that I create new pick list values, I can choose existing, fun, down, gone, right? So these are just going to put existing and fun. I'm going to add that to payments. But then credit, they need some other pick list values that are not these. So I'm going to create some called dog, cat, cow. Just give those to credit. So now when I create an opportunity, it's going to give me the choice of what kind of opportunity, right? Because I'm
Mhm.
assigned both. I could pick. If the payments people never do credit, then you could just assign them payments and they never see credit. I'm going to do one for credit just so you can see that when it comes to type, they've got all the original new dog, cat, cow, opportunity name, this account name, sample accounts, close date, stage. Notice they've got a shorten. This is my B2C process, right? So I do save. So their stage values and other pick list values are now controlled by the record type.
Okay.
So record type is really kind of like a um,
Gateway.
well, it's what it is. It's a I hate this new layout view. But let me see. Why are you not showing me things? Um, have y'all used dependent pick list values?
If basically like if this then that shows.
If they pick Southeast, then they can only pick these 13 states. If they pick
Yes.
that,
Yes,
right?
we do that on like case type and subtype.
Yeah, case type, subtypes, great idea, right? So if they pick, they go down this trail. That way, you're not managing multiple subtype
Uh-huh.
fields. You just one subtype field that limits. That's all a record type does. It's a one big controlling pick list that controls all the other pick list values that are available and page layouts. I don't know why this is being such. I don't know what's wrong with this stupid thing, but I'll go back to opportunities. I'm gonna create another new one. See if it helps. But something happened to my Salesforce decided you're over time. So now I'm gonna name amount. Oh, see now this other page layout requires me to put something in the amount field. Account name, Gene Point. So now I got this one, existing, new, existing, fun, that kind of right. So it's it's taking my pick list values and my stages now. I have more stages. So it's just the and you could change when you change record types. You could change a record's record type too, by the way. I just don't know why it's not doing it for me. And that changes the pick list values of the page layout for it. For some reason, those two page layouts I picked are not playing well with what it is. But anyway, so all I'm telling you is I would recommend exploring record types and then but for opportunities you just got to create the sales process first. That is to say, create a list of stages because stages. So you saw that was a pick list field, but a stage isn't um, is an Uber pick list field. So this it's got the label, the text value, but it also is this open closed. Is it open? Is it closed won or closed lost? And then you create a probability and where does it fit in your forecasting. So there's other things attached to this lead status, the opportunity stage, and the status fields on cases, which is why you create the processes first. So that's all. I'm just pointing out a little admin notes as to doing it. But and if I create a stage called new probability 5, and I'm only going to add it to B2C sales, it'll add that to the process, just like you're adding it to the record type. But it just, those three have to go through a different little process. But record types, you could use record types for almost anything. But that's the scenario you described to me. I've got people doing payments, people doing credit. What's the other ones? Payments, credits, and what else?
I mean, it's mostly those two categories.
Yeah, so it's really it's when, so a couple things you when you create record types, you're typically going to create another profile, or you're going to add a permission set so people in the same with the same profile have access to the other record types as opposed to all record types. You don't need to create new profiles. People can always have the choice, but you can't segment the defaults from one group of people to another group of people without adding a permission if they share the same profile. So that would be the way that I would kind of look at that. And I don't know why this is being like it is.
I appreciate you taking extra time.
I don't know. It's all right. I don't have to be somewhere till 6, so I got plenty of time to get there. Anything else for you?
You had mentioned early on that you do specifically like rev ops training or something like that, like revenue or.
Yeah, my personal practice is in rev ops, sales ops, and I coach. I have a couple of people that they've hired me for to just do like coaching the admin. Like they've got trained, they may be certified, but they're having trouble with their customization. So sometimes I do that. Like it depends, but I do both, depending on who they want me to interact with.
I was just meaning more for me, if this is going to be more my job.
Yeah, sure. But like I said, you reach out with problems, something like that. But if you want to make it a thing where we work together, that's got to go through budgets and all those other kind of. There we go. Now it's showing up. So from here, I could
I didn't know
change.
if you had another course on sales ops or something.
Oh yeah, I have a record. It's old recorded version though. I probably need to update it. Let me talk to Steve at Stony Point to see if he wants to run it through. I mean, I'm happy to run it through Stony Point. If he doesn't want to do it, then I would do it personally, and I would probably just do it like this, like a one-on-one, of course, because it's the course that I did was really me teaching the admin course, but through the filters of sales that I gave examples that were sales ops oriented. And then I ran a group coaching for 90 days. When those people went through it, as they were implementing it, remember, because Salesforce, it's easy to make suggestions when it's the same design for everybody. But as soon as you go back to your company, everything changes. So it depends on what you're dealing with. So it just depends on, what what's needed. Like I said, if it's a specific course, Steve doesn't offer one for sales ops. But when I did it, again, it was me just kind of talking about sales and like kind of some of the things I bring in like to this conversation. I talked about how the win rate's stupid and da-da-da. And if I'm teaching a class on reports for people that I know are doing customer service, I'll do the same thing for support. Because I do a lot with field service and customer service as well as sales. So I prefer sales because sales has a lot more crazy people that I like dealing with, that I've dealt with since for 30 years. So I like salespeople because they're rowdy and they're more fun than customer service people. Ops. Not all ops people are fun too. But yeah, I'm happy to take a look at,
Sure.
I'll talk to Steve about it. I would go through the same channels. How did you get signed up with? Let me look and see how you got signed up with this course.
I found it online, filled out an inquiry, and then.
But you went to so Steve has Steve has. I think you went through.
We went through New Horizons.
You went through New Horizons, Educate 360, something like
Yes.
that.
Hmm.
Okay. Go to Steve at stonyp.com. He's the guy who owns this Stony Point, and we provide training for several other companies. But talk to Steve about it. He'll know the right way to route the opportunity and the money and all that kind of stuff. Because I don't. The last thing I'd want to do is be perceived by New Horizons or Stony Point that I'm going around them to get my own
Sure.
stuff. It happens, but I I try to make it happen after everybody said they can't or they won't.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I didn't know
Right?
if it
I
was
just
just another course or
It's not
um
just another course. It's my little thing. And what that course evolved into was my ACE Academy, which was I, it was accredited certified experience. So people who wanted to get into the Salesforce ecosystem, instead of just getting certifications under their belt, I would run them through and have them do work on Salesforce customers as my interns. I pay them a little bit of money to earn back their tuition, but they also got to bring real world problems to the labs. So labs are just
mhm.
online courses where, okay, what are you dealing with? And they share. It's I don't know how this, and then we'd all talk and walk through. So everybody got experience with different orgs and structures of customers to see what was out there, but only one person was responsible for that org. But we would help them make the best solution. So customers end up paying a lot less for support because it's instead of paying 150 to 250 bucks an hour, they pay 50 to 100 bucks an hour, depending on how much expert involvement they needed. But I would just bring them to the labs, and we would myself and a couple other instructors and consultants would all pitch in to solve their problems, so they got a real solution. I put that on hold earlier this year, and I haven't signed anybody new up for that. But that's my little. So that kind of became a sales ops academy. Like you could just sign up for the membership, and then we would just do that together. But there's nobody active in that right now. Everybody got jobs and stuff, and then I just haven't because Salesforce dumped a bunch of people in the marketplace, so newbies weren't getting hired for anything anyway. So they didn't need their support. But it's also a way that I could help people get a job. They could say they had more experience than they actually had, but it didn't matter because they were getting all their problems solved with people who had experience.
Mhm.
Like we were helping them get the solution implemented without them having to have had the years of experience we had. We guided and coached them through it. So
Yeah.
that may evolve itself into another iteration of that because that's kind of like I just never marketed that to existing employed admins like you. But that's maybe 2020. Well, maybe in 2026 we'll do it, something like that. But if you'll run it, I would run it through Steve first
Okay.
because New Horizons may send you somewhere that Steve may have a better place for you to go or know how to handle it. Do you have his? Do you have his email? You got his email. He emailed you today, didn't he?
Yes, I think so. And what's your name? I guess I missed
Oh,
that.
Dominic. I never told you my name. I'm so bad. Let me put it in the chat. It's Dominic
Okay.
and Dominic Caruba, Carubba.
Perfect.
My email is in the chat. It's Dominic at Sales and Technology because I do sales and technology training. So that's how I named my company, Sales and Technology. Um, and yeah, my basic value proposition is I'm not selling you technology. I'm selling you how to learn and use your technology that you already bought. And if you need technology, I'll help you pick it so you don't screw it up. But I love teaching this stuff, and there is. Let me give you this just in case you want to. If you want to say nice things about me, then the class number that you're in, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that I need that for the survey. I was like,
C
oh, I wonder
two
if
oh
that's an
three
email.
C 20398. Yeah, they might. And then it's Stony Point. Salesforce.com class survey. You're the second Lacey I've ever met, and I hope to have a better um, relationship with you than I had with her. I met her at Burning Man. That's a long and not fun story. But anyway, yeah. So just tell me. You could put your name if I think I'll know who it is. I don't mind the truth. So if there's something you didn't like, I hope that you told me along the way. But if you didn't, this is a great place to communicate it.
Yeah, this was fantastic. I have nothing negative to say in the survey. I'm not just saying that to
No, I get
right
it.
up to you right now, but this was great.
Good. I'm glad.
I love that it was one on one. Not what I was expecting, but I think this
Me,
worked out well. We could just kind of go at our own pace.
yeah, that was
Um,
great. So
no,
yeah,
this is great.
and then you got my email, and I mean what I say. If you run into trouble or you just have some clarification, the best way I tell people to send me stuff. Do you have access to Loom or some kind of screen recording software? Even if you just recorded
Um,
a Microsoft Teams, if you have that, like you can
yeah,
record
we
them.
have Teams.
So if you just share your
Sharing it externally is a little tricky, but
external, yeah, it might be. So I understand that. So screenshots with an explanation or a recorded video, if you can. I know when it comes to this kind of stuff, for sure, it's tougher. Um,
I have Zoom actually. That's how I did our webinar training, so I
worst,
can just do it that way.
if you can record it by Zoom and then send me the clip or something like or whatever that is, but don't get yourself in trouble. If you want to set up a Zoom meeting, see, like if I don't get it, what you're telling me, because you'll probably use language that's not rigorous, and that's okay. I don't expect anybody to. This is why I tell all my clients for support. They don't all do it, but I tell them, send me a Loom video. Show me what you're trying to accomplish. I'll get more information watching what you're trying to do than you're telling me,
For
and
sure.
then then if I can't answer the question or at least tell you where to go look, then we'll just set up a meeting. And then if I have the time available on my calendar, obviously while I'm teaching a class I can't, but if I have the time available on my calendar, and you book it on my calendar, and on my website Sales and Technology, you can always book time on my calendar there. I gotta adjust it because it's a little goofy right now. I gotta fix it because I changed it anyway. Um, the cobbler's kids have no shoes, so I gotta fix my own a little bit. But nobody's bitching yet, so. Just book time on my calendar, 30 minutes, and we'll get it done. Like if I got it available, I'm happy to do it. So
Okay.
then you can share your screen and talk through it, walk through it, all that kind of stuff. It's all good. And if it becomes a habit, like if I'm doing all your work for you, then I'll say, maybe we should find a budget for this. But if it's worth it, but if the company doesn't have it, I don't want to leave somebody stranded in the Salesforce world. So whatever you run into, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Plus,
Well, I
plus,
appreciate it so
yeah,
much.
no problem. Thank you. I enjoy meeting you, Lacey, and enjoy
Okay.
Sioux Falls. And maybe one day I'll ride through and finally go to Sturgis like I keep threatening to do. We'll say hello to everybody.
Sounds good. Well, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas.
I
Happy New
will.
Year.
You too. Thanks so much.